what you're waiting for. I think we're ready to ride.
Hey everyone, welcome to this video. Today is a very exciting time because I want to share with you something that I've been using past year, and that is Figma, and I've been using it for UI design, and I also use plugin that is for Figma and After Effects, and it's called AEUX, and you can link Figma with After Effects and import all your designs straight in. Now Figma is an awesome tool, and if you don't know that, I will show you the installation and I will show you all the processes that you need to go through to actually import the design into the After Effects, and then we export it as a PNG sequence and have it in Cinema 4D. You also need to purchase iPhone model for this tutorial, so if you don't have any iPhone models at hand, I would suggest you need to model one or you will need to buy one. But I will put all the links in the description, so let's get ahead. And this is like really me sharing you the best tips because this is what I've been using and saved me thousands of hours.
Hey there, today we are diving into creative blend of Figma, After Effects, Cinema 4D and Redshift to craft an animated iPhone mockup. Excited? Let's jump right in. First, Figma. This is where our sleek iPhone UI design will come to life. For those of you well acquainted with Figma, feel free to skip ahead. For newcomers, stick with me. Head to figma.com, navigate to products and hit download. After installation, you can register directly or simply log in using your Google account. Launching the Figma application, you are greeted with an interface like this. Click on the plus design file button to kick off the new Figma board. Notice the left panel, this is where you can create and manage pages. And the right panel, all your element setting lives there. So let's dive in step by step. Now it's time to streamline our workflow from Figma to After Effects. And the AEUX plugin is a game changer. Trust me, its one-click transfer will become core part of your design routine, so let's get it set up. Head over to AEUX.io and hit download. Ensure you're grabbing the Figma version, and once it's downloaded, open up that zip file. There are two pivotal folders in here. The Figma folder, you'll want to save this somewhere safe, and remember its location. Why? Because the Figma app needs to point out to this directory. The AE folder contains the After Effects plugin. Now to install this, we'll be using ZXP Installer. If you're unfamiliar with ZXP, think of it as a bridge for plugins to hop into After Effects. Just open the ZXP, drag the ZXP file in, and you are set. If you don't have the ZXP installer yet, don't worry, I've got you covered with the download link right in the description below. Now inside Figma app, right-click on your board space, navigate to Plugins, Development, and select Import from Manifest. This is where you need to point out that manifest JSON file inside the saved Figma folder. And just like that, you've got AEUX plugin installed on both ends. Whenever you want to use it in Figma, just head to Plugins, Development, and click AEUX. Alright, now that we've set up our groundwork, we can accelerate the design process by actually going to Figma community libraries, find design, instead of spending time crafting it. We also save time by importing from Figma to After Effects with one click or a couple more. We'll see. To find community libraries in Figma, you can go to this world icon in the top left corner. You can search for anything, and I'm gonna go for iOS 15. That's what we're gunning for today. So iOS 15 by Joey Banks, and we're gonna click and we say open in Figma. Here we go. What I found, I really like those dark ones here with the notification, and you can simply click, and now I've basically click and I have this whole section, and if you click again, like double click into it, then you can actually get like dive in further in the hierarchy. So if I keep double clicking, now you see I'm highlighting this frame exactly, so I can just Control C and go back to our created file and just Control V right here. I don't like Figma here, I don't need it, I want to keep it simple. So I'm just gonna keep double clicking until I get to that element. Same here, double click, delete. I don't need the lock as well. So I'm gonna delete that one, and I'm gonna probably delete this notification too because I don't think it's necessary. Maybe I'll just get rid of those icons too. And this is ready to go, but if I click it, I can go to this frame
and I see it's only iPhone 14, but my 3D model is iPhone 14 Pro. So I can just click and it will resize it for me. Now it's 393 by 852. And if we, times it 3, because I export it always 3 times bigger, just so the texture is really sharp when we render stuff close. Now when I have it, I can go to After Effects and I can prepare that link. So first thing, we can go to Plugins, Development, AEUX. I have the plugin here and you can send selection to AE. So now if you did everything correctly, you can go to After Effects, Windows, Extensions, and AEUX should be here. I have it docked in here. So you can see that the first 2 options are either import into new composition or into current composition. So if I would be creating current composition, it would just it would just import the elements straight into there while keeping in mind the resolution. But if I do new comp, you'll see it will offer me the multiplier, like comp size multiplier, by how much you want to scale the resolution. I'm going to do 3 times. I think that's just enough. And we can do frame rate for the composition and also the composition duration, which we can just keep like 5 seconds. There's other buttons later that I can explain later. Let's go to our design and we can send selection to AE. And now we see the prompt, layers must be inside of a frame. So while we have this design highlighted, we can press Ctrl-Alt-G, and now it's inside the frame. So this is a hierarchy frame, and then there's this other elements that are nested within each other. And that's why we sometimes have to double click through the different elements. But now that it's inside a frame, I can send selection to AE, and I can check what it does. So you see it's importing elements. Also, it's using this folder. So I have a Dropbox folder that I'm importing all the AEUX imports, and you see the design is a bit broken, but it's fine. If I click the composition it created for me, it nested elements in the same hierarchy like it was in Figma. So if I go to these groups, I can click on this composition and press unprecomp, and I have these elements that I can click on. And I know this one's broken, I can delete it, and also this one's broken. That's what sometimes happen with text and with some elements, because this plugin is still in development. So there's multiple ways around it, and you see that text is shifted a little bit up in this button, so it's not ideal, but we can delete it actually too. So let's go back to Figma and troubleshoot a bit. So we have that design, and this is what broke. So I can keep double clicking, once, twice, 3 times. And now I have this frame highlighted, and I can rasterize this layer on export since it's going to be immovable. So I can just send it as a PNG. And the best thing about AEUX, if you check this composition, the composition settings is 1179 to 2556. It's actually iPhone notification while we're here. That's awesome, because that's exactly what we were promised, like 3 times comp size multiplier. So while keeping all the design same and all the positions, it will scale our design 3 times while sending it to After Effects. So I don't have to think about anything. I can just upscale it quickly from this design, which is actually 393 by 852. And if I lock this dimensions and put like times 3, you see 1179 to 2556. So now that we established that AEUX plugin is awesome, we actually go and fix those broken elements. So I'm going to double click into this, get into that frame level where I can highlight just those 3 icons, rasterize layer on export, and then send selection to AE. Now this is going to appear here exactly in the position where it should be and scaled appropriately as we want. If I go back to that Figma, then we can do the same for the notification, which I can send over and then scale it a bit because it's scaled 100%, which I'm gonna put like 96, just so we have a scale like it's in a design. If I go back to Figma, I can do our clock and
rasterize layer on import, send selection to AE. You don't have to export anything, and you have all the elements separately, so you can animate them and you can play with it as you want. So it's really convenient for anyone who does motion graphics and animates a lot of UI. All we need to do is to animate this icon. So we can do position around frame 40. We can lock it in, so position here, and then we slide it a little bit down, highlight both keyframes, and I'll use my flow plugin to apply my favorite curve. So we have that curve, and we also press T for opacity, bring in the keyframe, and then do the 0 here. So again, it will appear. I'm just gonna highlight both keyframe, apply the same curve, and now I have the notification coming slowly in. And then I want the notification, again, I'll press scale, and I want the notification just kind of jump out from the screen. So I'm just gonna apply that curve, and then I press T because I want it to disappear and appear in 3D space. So I'm just gonna press T 100%, and then once it's here, it's gonna be 0, and then I press U to see all the keyframes. I can apply again all the favorite curves, just so we kind of have the same one, and it's just gonna like appear, whoop, and then it jumps out. It's gonna be so fast that we just gonna, hopefully this will work. Bam. Maybe we can even do the opacity faster. So once it's here already, it's just gonna bam. Yeah. So this is it. And now we just export it. So I'm gonna do export, render queue. We can go here in the output model, do custom. We can set our settings to PNG. So I'm just gonna do PNG sequence here in a format, and in channels you can do alpha if you need sometimes transparent textures, and in a format options you can do compression, but I don't think we do any compression. We just keep it simple, PNG sequence. I'm just gonna click here. Here I have a folder PNG sequence. This is my test. So I'm just gonna do PNG iPhone notification 02. Open it up, iPhone notification, PNG, and just save it, and it will export it as a PNG sequence. Now it's time to open Cinema 4D, and we're gonna have a iPhone 14 Pro model. I've downloaded mine from TurboSquid. I like this one, and you have separate screen, you have a glass cover over that screen. So we're gonna need to do quick Redshift texturing just so we can. So I'll highlight the whole 14 Pro, click C, Control C, and copy it over to my default scene. But this time I'm just gonna delete my light. I'll keep all the folder structure. I'll delete the backdrop, focus null. I can keep camera actually, and import that iPhone 14 Pro. We can import as well the texture. And now when I have it here, by the way, you can download this model. I'll leave the link if you guys want to follow up with the same model. Otherwise, use your own model for 14 Pro. I'm just going to show you how I do quick texturing and what kind of lighting we're going to be using. So first thing first, I'm just going to highlight that now the group folder. I'll drag it into my objects. For the lights, I'm just going to bring in dome light. I'm actually going to use one of the Grayscale Gorilla. So I'm just going to open the plus library and import HDRI for metals, because we're going to have that metal edge there. And so I'm just going to do the Pro Studio Metal HDRI. So we're going to get those nice edges on the side. So you see it's kind of gradient, black and white. So very basic lighting. So we have it in the zero out position, and maybe I would like it to be in the middle. What I usually do when I see as well, if you look at this axis, it's a wrong position. So what you can do, you can either enable axis movement and then rotate it just so it's correctly. And the way you find out that it's correct, that you can bring in new null, and that new null has Z facing that way, X facing that way, and then Y facing that way. And so if I click that null now,
Y facing that way, X facing that way. So now it's fixed. And now I'm gonna get out of this, go back to it, and then that position is right. So sometimes when you import models for, you know, this one was, I think, for 3ds Max, or so you're gonna have to do a little bit of axis changing and repositioning, cleaning up, but there's a minimum work to be done. Now, you can see already HDRI looking pretty decent, and I'm gonna change these materials. And the first material I'm going to create is that metallic material. For aluminum, I'm not going to be worried too much about the, you know, I'm just going to bring out metalness in the new material, which make it metallic. And then I'll see where's the body. And I see this metallic body black and then antenna black. So I'm just going to replace this. I'm just going to drag this over the body, and now if I make this red, I will have a red. So very simple. I'll just keep it as it is for now. Maybe we can reduce the roughness, just make it even more shiny as iPhones are, and just keep it very, you know, like it's gonna render super fast even at 4K. And so we have that, and the next thing we need to bring out the glass. So I'm just gonna create new material, and we'll see. So glass back, glass logo, we don't need to care about that. We have a pro screen, so this is where we apply our texture. Glass front, so this is where we apply the glass. Now when I cover it, it goes dark, it's hard to see, but if I go to glass front, remove this, remove the reflections, and bring out the transmission. Now we can see the camera through. Maybe for the texturing, I'll bring one more dome light just for now, just so we can see clearly what I'm talking about. Now for this texture, I'm just gonna create another material. I'm just gonna click on color this knob and bring in our node editor, textures. So texture, plug it into color for now. And let's set it up. iPhone animated mockup, PNG sequence, notification 0.2, and bring in the texture. So this texture should straight away slap onto the iPhone, and I'm not going to be doing anything yet with the animation, and I'm just going to apply that screen we created to the screen. Yeah, that would be a good idea. So now we have the iPhone, and as you can see, it snugly fits. So we have that bottom, we have that top, straight fit, right? And it's 3 times upscale, so we can get quite close. We can get like really nice close up, and it won't break apart. So that's super important, where we can, you know, start creating super cool animations, and it won't break apart. Now, before I move any further, I'm gonna go to that texture, go to animation, go to simple mode, and now I'm just gonna make it frame rate 25, which is, I think, a standard that I've created the PNG sequence for. I'll detect frames, and it tells me it's 60 frames. So I'll change my animation to, I don't know, I'll keep it 120, and then now when we move it, we're gonna see the notification comes out, and then we need to do some work to actually get it out. The next thing we need to do is to sort out the rest of the materials on the phone, and this can be real quick. I can do material that has no color and no reflection. It's like a pure dark, and we're just gonna apply it to the front. So now it's just gonna create this like a dark bezel, that's what we want. And then there is the camera is peeking through. So all these things we can actually sort out by just applying the same material to, you know, all the cameras. And as you can just keep dragging it all over, and we don't need to worry about anything. And now it's disappeared. So, you know, I don't want to see any cameras through there. Even when I'm in close up, I don't need to see any of that. And there's a little bit of a
problem with the wallpaper here because it conflicts with the dynamic island. And also, as you can see, it's kind of sharp edge. So the one thing you can do, and you can do it in render, you can apply object tag to the whole phone and go to geometry, tessellation, and enable the tessellation. And this will smooth out all the edges, and this will make it render even better when close. I see those antennas as well as 5G here, or like I think it's SIM tray, is it? So we need to cover that, and then again I'm just going to use that dark material, and we're gonna go to 5G. I'm just gonna cover that. Actually no, we're gonna use our metallic, so I might as well name this. So rename aluminum glass screen dark matter, and everything else we can delete. Not the phone though, I meant the materials. Okay, so now you have all these question marks, so this will at least indicate what you need to fill on the phone, but we don't need much. So I'm just going to apply this aluminum to the 5G and also to our body. Now we have the same material for the antennas, for this, and now when I turn off that dome light, just so we don't need to see it anymore, as well, I have couple issues here. So for the dark matter for the dynamic island, so if I look at the glass cam, maybe here, and the cameras, yeah, there's a couple materials that needs to be done, and there is a speaker, so we can do dark as well. And then there is a lightning port, which we need to fix if we want to do close-ups from the bottom. And then we have iPhone front, and that disappeared as well. There was a little bit of speaker. And now if I turn off the dome light, now we get that like a nice look. So what we can do, go to that the first metallic dome light, the Pro Studios Metal 12, and increase the intensity, you know, and you will get that nice edge on the phone, which is exactly where we want to be. The next thing we need to really fix is the texture. You remember I plug it onto into color, but if you want it to be really display, then you need the same texture plug into emission 2 and drag it all the way like to 1.2, I don't know, can be even 0.8, just so you have that illuminated, just so it feels more like a display. Right, so this is good. Next thing we can do is to have that dome line background turned off. So when I'm turning phone around, I don't see any background. I'm just getting phone illuminated, and that's all I want. At this stage, we really have it ready for creating our notification in 3D. So what we need to do, we need to create same notification, but in 3D as a glass. So the next thing I want to do, I want to bring the phone in the middle, of the scene. So I want to basically maybe face it from front. So middle click to get into this view, and then middle click into the front, and I'll just kind of zoom in. I'll see where I'm at, and just kind of position the phone exactly here in the middle, just so when I look at it and I create new stuff notification, because we placed our notification, we'll be working with that view, and I won't be needing like moving elements like notifications out of that view. So we'll keep the phone like that, and I'll create another null over that, which will be animating. So we'll reset the position. So now when I look at that null, so it's gonna reset that transform. So we have a null sitting here. The next thing we would like to actually do
is to fix that null over the iPhone. So I'm going to do top view, and now this is the null. This is the null that it's animating. So animating null. So we're going to be animating this null to move the whole phone. So we have the exactly axis in the middle, and only thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to push it just towards the center of the phone. So I'm just going to again enable axis modification, move it a little bit in the middle, just so when we rotate the phone, it has that centroid, the center point right in the middle. So if I'm going to zoom in real quick, I can really just kind of narrow this down, and this should be good enough. And let's get out of this. So now I have a null exactly in the middle. So if I go to that null, go to coordinates, and I start rotating the phone, it rotates perfectly, you know, straight from the middle. So now I can really just come up with the animations, focusing on that while not affecting the actual position of the phone at all. We don't need the back of the phone as well, because that's not what we want to record. So we have that notification. If I go close enough, we have that notification, and around frame 50 we said it's just gonna disappear. So 40 to 50. So from 40 we're gonna have to make the 3D jump out. And the way we're gonna do it, I'm just gonna position into the front view. Actually, I'm just gonna be like this here, and I'm gonna reset transform the camera, and I'm just gonna zoom in, and I'm exactly in the middle of that phone. So this is why it's important whenever we reset things, you know, we always have that object that we want to animate in the middle. It makes everything easier. Now I'm gonna bring in rectangle spline, and at this moment it's very big, so I'm just gonna press T for scale. I press T, yeah, and scale it down. See, now it's scaling down, and I can bring it a little bit front just so I see it, and I can keep scaling it down until I find that a good place where, you know, I can just zoom in here as well. And what we're gonna do is extrude this. So I'm gonna put it into extrude, holding Alt, and now we have extruded the notification, and this is gonna be our rectangle object. So if I go into the top view, you see it's extruded super far. So what you need to do is to bring that offset to like 1, or even better 0.2, and that will be just about the glass notification that we're looking for. And we also want to go into the rectangle spline, and we want to see like how big it should be. So I think it should be like that, and we need to match that so against that notification that we see in front of our screen. And also rounding. So to be exact, we're gonna go like 0.2. That should be fine. The height should be 1.2. Yeah, that's nice. This is just looking just enough, good enough. But I'll bring it even closer, almost overlaying, just so we see how it's actually performing. So reset the camera, zoom in, okay. And now we have a little bit more work to do. Extend this. So all you need to remember, 6.2 and then 1.3. And I think this is good match for the notification. I'm going to create another material for the glass of the notification. So the notification glass, and apply that material to our extrude. Now with that, I'm just going to remove the
remove the color and increase the transmission. So now it's transparent, and we will get that we'll get the transparency, but I'm going to bring up some roughness just so we get that milky glass as well. So we can change the transmission to be like a different color, so we can apply gradient. I can go to show node, and we can put the ramp into the transmission color, and we can also put the round corners. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So I'm just going to remove this notification out of the phone for now. Just going to move it a little bit. So we have that notification here, and we're just going to keep improving it. Apply the profile picture and apply the text as well. And once we have one, then it's really easy to replicate and create multiple notifications. You can save it into your asset library and you have it forever. Yeah, so we have that. And if I open the node editor now, you can see like we can, instead of the black color, we can bring in some purples from the actual, and this will adjust the, I can bring in noise and just kind of make that noise really smaller, just so it's affecting, right? Just kind of edges. Nice. And make it much lighter. You don't need for the transition. So you have a like little bit purplish glass, and we can put round corners into the bump map, which will make our notification slightly rounded, and we don't need to do any geometry scaling. So if I go look at from here, I'm gonna see it's a little bit rounded. It's hard to see at this moment, but even better, like if you do the settings of the roundness, it works better with the smaller numbers. So if I do 0.2, it actually it's good enough for us to, if I'm removing that roughness, you see that glass, and if I go to the round corners, I can really make it like round and just affecting that geometry. Now this is no roundness, but if I put like 0.2, or 0.1, or 0.05, then you see I'll get the nice round edges, introducing no geometry at all. Everything's happening on the render side. So this is really useful node if you want to do stuff like that, and keeping things procedural. Like we didn't commit to any mesh object yet. This is all spline that is being extruded, and the rounded corners. So now that we established those rounded corners, I can go back to a little bit milky look, like that. And I'm gonna bring text as well. So I'm just gonna push that notification back, -3. Okay. We need to adjust this axis as well later too. I can't be guessing this every time. And what you want to do is basically bring the text in. So I'm just gonna, not the text line, just the regular text. Just make sure you have a regular text, because there's two options here, text line or text. So you want text, and I'm just gonna apply this text. So I'm gonna put the placement tool and highlight the text over that object and make the text way smaller. So I'm just gonna take it down. So we have a text depth 0.2, and we have a height of 1. And now we need to have a look. And usually for iPhones and their devices, you're looking for the font San Francisco Pro. So if you go, or SF Pro Display, and go to like semi-bold, that should be fine. And then now you need to really make it like a 0.2 and match this exactly. Line it up with your notification glass, have it there. Now the depth should be like 0.02
just like really minimum almost. You can do even 0, but you can do a little bit of intersecting there. I don't know what's the industry take on this and what's the sensible choice here, but I've tried and it works. We still need to do a little bit of 0.3. That's too big, so 0.25, and now I'm gonna write same thing, just gonna notification, and we look at if this aligns. So it's just gonna go to that text, move it a little bit on the side, and just looking for sign. Yeah, we can do a little bit larger, so 0.28, and this is the way I align it. You don't have to do it this way, but I like to be the text physical, and the reason for that is you can do then, you know, crazy animations with going into your plane effector and animate text in on that notification and stuff like that. So having the notification in 3D completely, it makes sense. If you don't want to do it this way, then you want to use textures probably. So notification title. Now I grab the text. Once you align it once, easy. Just hold Control, drag, and create new one. You can make it slightly smaller, so you can make a 0.25, and then again here, notification text, and again try to align it with spend some time here and really make it work, and you won't have to do it ever again. Now for this notification title, I can see there is some vertical spacing that could be different, so I can do 0.09, 0.7. Aligned, I would say it's fine. And then here's notification text, that will be fine as well. And then there's one more, the minutes, which you can do if you want. For the purpose of the tutorials, I'm not going to bother you with more stuff. So let's move on to the profile picture. I'm going to use command plane, rotate it 90 degrees, just so I have it like that. Like that. Massive plane. But I'm just going to keep it 1 by 1. We don't need anything. And I'm just going to keep it 5 by 5. And if I go back to that phone, back to that middle, I have it here, 5 by 5. I can make it even smaller. I can align it perfectly with my notification. I can use the placement tool, place it there, do the X minus or Z minus or X. This is always nightmarishly confusing me. Great. And there's still possibility that this is reversed, but now we have it aligned and we have it centered, sort of. Can make it a little bit bigger. And now to this, we're going to apply our profile pic. So I'm just going to apply this material here, and I'm going to go into the node editor, apply the texture, go into the texture color, go into our folder, and I have a icon that I exported from Figma separately. So apply that icon, go to the splitter. So splitter will split the information from the PNG and alpha to opacity, and this way when I have this applied to the plane, push this out a bit. Now we see that the notification is a little bit. Just gonna move it over here when there's nothing, and all we need to do is to align it like that. And now we have the notification. One of the things to match it is to what I found is to actually make this notification pop. We can do the same thing for emission. So emission color
and go to that material, raise it a bit so that profile picture pops. And same for the text. So for the text, I can put all the notification text into one group. All the whole notification I can put into one group. Like we can do that. We can call this, you know, picture profile. And we have the notification text. And then we have the notification title. I can just grab all of it and Alt G and call it notification. So now I have that, and I don't like where it's sitting. So I'm just gonna move this. I'm just gonna look where it is going. Move this into center actually, and move this in the middle of our notification, and then get out of the axis modification. So now when I look at that notification, I have axis right in the middle, and when I rotate it again, it will you know, react properly. We can push this notification now out, look at it, and we see it has some kind of a 3D. I'm just gonna go to our Redshift camera, and it has some kind of a 3D look to it. So maybe we can fix a couple of the things here, namely the titles. They feel a little bit weird how they intersecting inside. So what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna highlight both texts and just put the depth like 001, maybe even less, 001, and have it like real close. So when I go completely close to this, you wouldn't even know if it's sticking out, and this is what you want. The next thing is that profile. We probably want to make sure it's aligned properly, and maybe make it a little bit smaller. We don't need this that big, and we can go almost inside, almost intersecting, and now we have the notification next to our phone with like a glass. But what you notice is the text is not popping out. So what you can do material standard, and you can increase the emission and just apply it to the text. And this way the text will shine a little. So as well, it will have that display property where it emits light, and it feels normal. So now we have the glass notification ready to go, ready to be animated, and all we need to do is actually go into that phone and check frame 40. Where is the actual notification like that? And can have that notification going inside, and from the frame 40 we can go to coordinates, position Z, create a keyframe, and to 50, and it should be out like this. Maybe just kind of minus 1.5. And again, I'm just gonna go here, go and animate this. You know, when you go to this, what do you call it? Timeline. Yeah, obviously. So when you go to this timeline, you're gonna have keyframes, or you're gonna have curve mode. And so whenever you want to go to curve modes, just like first make sure you highlight your keyframes that you want to deal with, and then you go to curve mode, and they will be already there for you. And I have this tool called Motion Manager, and I have my
curve from After Effects applied. So I can just set ease and it will apply the curve for me, right? So now when I look at it, it will just kind of jump out. And as soon as the up came out, it will kind of disappear from here and it will appear here. So one, bam. Now I can play with the timing. You see the phone is already out, but we are no longer, so I can do more here. And this is just about, you see it? Perfect. And this is very basic, but this is basically how I would go about it. And the next thing you want to do is to really just start taking this further. Now that you have one notification, you can create 15 of them. And once you have 15 of them, you can create some crazy videos.